Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, episode 66. We're less than 4 weeks to first pitch against the Xavier Musketeers, and it's hard to believe that 4 weeks from now we will have a series in the books. And now we're going to take a look at this is our positional preview. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we'll have our pitcher preview for you, and then a lot of content headed your way over the next 4 weeks. Leading into that opening weekend against Xavier and wrapping up that season opening series against the Musketeers. But right now, I'd like to welcome in former East Carolina pitcher, John White. John, how are you?
Doing well. And yes, it's getting closer and closer. We can smell it. Can't wait for the season to start. And it's great to get on here and talk baseball with you and Johnny. Positionally wise, and like you said, doing the pitchers in the morning. So good times. Can't wait. It's getting closer and closer.
Definitely is. I think when we began our social media countdown, it was somewhere just over 2 months, 60 to 65 days there. And, here we are, I guess, 26 days or so, 25 days away from first pitch against Xavier out of the Big East.
But do we have the 25-day countdown ready? Just curious.
Yeah. No, we do not.
I'm not ready trying to put you on the spot
for tonight's show and tomorrow's show. No, not at all. We actually have some of the ones beyond that ready that were pretty obvious, such as the 20-game win streak in 2022. Who could forget that? And then
the year we hosted the Super Regional.
Yep. And then, of course, 23 is obvious. There's no secret what that will be. And some of those others.
I got a suggestion for number 11.
Go ahead.
Don't even go there, Johnny. Anyway, but yeah, it's good to talk baseball with you guys. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, now that we're going to the positional, we're trying to figure out who's going to fit in where. It kind of brings us it makes it even closer because now we have a familiarity of like, what are we going to be watching? I went to the blue and gold. I know you did too, Bubba. Purple and gold, I'm sorry. And it was just hard to tell who you were even watching sometimes because, they didn't always have, their numbers on. And I wasn't even sure sometimes who I was watching. But now we're going to identify everybody, where they fit in. And I feel like it'll give us a much better idea of what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, I had the chance to see us twice this fall at UNCG. I saw those 15 or 16 innings. And then, like you mentioned, I guess it would have been game 2 of the Purple Gold World Series on game day against Charlotte on homecoming weekend. And saw the majority of that one. I think it went 7 innings, something like that. And I got there in the bottom of the first or top of the second. But yeah, saw a lot of good things. Definitely plenty to improve upon, especially on the offensive side. And I will say that, at that Purple Gold World Series, you had heard going into that throughout the fall that we had not hit our pitching, which is very good, all that well. And that day, it seems as though we put the bat on the ball a little bit better than what I had seen up at UNCG from what I recall. So definitely intrigued, and we'll dive into that more as the show goes on. But we'll be with you for the next probably hour or so, roughly. So let us hear from you on social media, whether it's X, Facebook, or YouTube. Broadcasting live on all 3 of those platforms. But this and every episode of Jungle Tales is brought to you by PGX Gloves, pgxgloves.com, the business of former East Carolina third baseman from that 2004 Super Regional team that was so good, 51 wins, a school record, a record that stands to this day. And Mark Minikazi, appreciate his support. And maybe you have a son that plays, grandson, whatever the case may be, or you just know some friends that are involved in baseball and softball, let them know about pgxgloves.com. The gloves you see on the screen, the Eye of the Tiger glove, the one on the far left, I can't remember the exact name, but I like to call it the Miami Vice gloves. You have the goat gloves and also the clown face, several more options as well. But you can get 25% off any of the gloves on pgxgloves.com by using the promo code JungleTales. Again, promo code JungleTales on pgxgloves.com. So really appreciate Kaz and his support of the program. But,
Yeah, and as we go into this,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, as we go into this, I was going to mention talking about the team this year. Coach, he has a good problem here. He's got a lot of positional depth. He's got a lot of players that he can look at and plug in. So there's going to be a little bit of a different atmosphere on the team this year, and I don't know how to explain it, but there's going to be a lot, challenge from the players at each position. So a lot of depth, and that's a good thing. So that's going to be a little bit different from last year.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, JR.
I was just going to say, I also feel like it's going to elevate our DH position as well. Basically it was John Collins, Big John, who did a lot of good things, and Michael Kalinich also DH'd, I think, like 14 times. And, we did okay, but I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement in the DH, because we're going to have more impactful bats this season to choose from, both left-handed and right-handed. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, very well said.
Yeah, definitely.
JR. Yep, for sure.
That's one of the things that we were talking about off the air right before we went live, and that's the number of lineups that you see with Coach Godwin. Just seeing what works, what he likes, and especially in a situation where you have a lot of new pieces. We do have plenty of proven commodities returning, like an Austin Irby, Braden Burris, Colby Wallace, guys that you know exactly what you're getting. A Walker Barron behind the plate. And speaking of behind the dish, we'll start our positional preview right there and kind of go around the horn. And again, like I mentioned in the lead-in, we'll take a look at the pitching staff, a very deep pitching staff, on Monday morning. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We'd love to have you join us live, or go back and listen to our archived episode on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, or X. But behind the plate, Walker Barron, a year ago, out of the 62 games, he started all but 2 of those. And he was just an absolute warrior and workhorse behind the plate in 2025.
Yeah. He didn't start 2 games, but he just can't help himself. He got behind the dish in both those games. Like, he didn't take any games off. He just didn't start. But he actually played in all 62 games. For a catcher, that's just crazy, so.
Yeah, and you have a steady Eddie there, someone who defensively is going to give you a great game behind the plate. He knows, obviously he knows our number 1 pitcher going into the season, but he's going to have to learn a few of the new names, and they're going to have to get into a good rapport there from the mound to the plate. But you know what you're getting with him. He's going to be a warrior behind the plate. He played all, like JR said, all 62 games. And he gives you good at bats. He's going to probably hit towards the end of the lineup, is my guess. But yeah, great catcher. You know what you're getting day in and day out defensively, and calling a game. So that's the key item for a catcher to bring to the table.
Yeah, well, something we were discussing earlier today, we were thinking we've been pretty fortunate and blessed down through the years to have at least 2, and in some cases 3 quality catchers. You think most recently when you had Ryan McChrystal and, of course, J-Dub, Justin Wilcoxon, and then through those years where you had some combination of
Seth Cadell,
of Ben Newton, Seth Cadell,
Yeah.
Jake Washer.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's always good to have a couple catchers that you can count on, and that's what we're looking for. And moving on to the backup from last year, Michael Kalinic, we're looking to see if he can improve defensively. Offensively, we know that he's had a past where he has delivered. Looks like in the summer ball he did a lot better offensively, but it'd be good to see how he's going to improve defensively. I think that's one thing he knows and everybody knows has to happen.
Yeah,
Definitely.
early last season, you saw some of what he can bring to the table with the bat. As you mentioned, he had I think it was a double, either a double or a home run. But I believe it was a two bagger against the Tar Heels that just missed getting out of the yard. And then he did later on hit a couple of home runs. And so he's a guy that can definitely produce with the bat, but as as is typically the case with freshmen, a lot of ups and downs. And the real question is, whether it's going to be Michael Kalinic or Blade Carver that's going to take that second spot behind the plate. And you look at Blade
Yeah.
Carver, he's a guy that's a JUCO All-American, can really swing the bat, hit close to 400 or just over 400 in both of his seasons at Northern Oklahoma.
Yeah. He was
Produced
right.
like a combined 30 home runs, 35 doubles, and something like 15 triples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's very impressive. And the 16 triples is really what stood out to me. Yeah, he almost hit 400 for the 2 years, and I played with a JUCO All American. Not, I'm sorry, JUCO college player in Corey Short coming out of Lewisburg, and I know that type of ball is very it's competitive. So hopefully that translates as he comes over. And yes, you're right. He's gonna push for the backup position, and we'll see how that goes. But that's his offensive game was quite impressive at Northern Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But to
The thing is that what I'm reading about Blade Carver is that let's just take his final season when he hit 23 home runs and the 9 triples. And you're right. Well, he's not. That shows he's just not a power hitter. He's an athlete. And then you throw in he had 21 stolen bases, and I think he drew like 36 walks. So he's got an all around game, and it's really really difficult to get defensive stats like pass balls, errors, and such. Um, it's just hard to do at that level. But I did read some scouting reports on him, and they were very favorable on the defensive side, which is encouraging.
Yeah, 21 stolen bases, 16 triples for a catcher. That's almost unheard of.
Yeah,
yeah, that 16 triples certainly jumped off the page. To see anyone with 16 triples, much less a catcher, that was very surprising. But yeah, that $1 million question is just whether it's going to be Kalinic or Carver that's going to really kind of take the reins to be that second guy behind Walker Barron. We know Barron's reliable, but at the same time, he's a little smaller for a catcher, 5'10", 190. At least that's where he's currently listed on the roster. And it would be nice, going back to some of those combinations that I mentioned in the past, you typically would see the backups start anywhere from about 10 to 12, maybe even as many as 15 games, depending on how much confidence Coach Godwin and staff had in them, where they were catching specific pitchers and or midweek games, second games of doubleheaders, things of that nature.
yeah,
Yeah, I think having two catchers that you can rely on and put in at any moment is important. I played under Coach Overton, and that was a big deal to him. And fortunately, I was able to pitch to Tommy and Corey Short. But uh, yeah, you saw last year in the regional, Florida struggled when they brought in their backup catcher. That was the reason that they did not really show up in that regional. And to get a rapport, you're going to have both your backup and your starter obviously getting reps behind the plate. So I'm not sure how that's going to happen this year because going back to what JR said in the beginning of the show, there's a lot to go around here to feed a lot of mouths this
yeah.
year.
DH. I'm thinking he
Yeah,
might.
DH especially. Yes.
Okay, so John, are you familiar with Overslot Baseball? It's like a scouting service. Anyhow, there's so many of them out there. I hadn't heard of it before. That's why I asked if you had, because I
No,
had
no, I'm
not.
not. Yeah.
Okay, so I had to do a lot of digging, but okay, you need to help me out here. Sub 2 second pop times. Can you translate that for me?
From out of the catcher spot to throwing.
I don't know. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what that means, but
Yeah. I don't
they
know
they,
either.
they
I'm just
like
trying to guess what it means.
they like what he's doing there, and they said he has soft hands and he's very good. Soft hands and his blocking ability is outstanding. And they're saying that he played high school football in Denton, Texas, and he demonstrated good hands there, and it's translating to baseball. And Walker Barron's not a huge guy either, so I guess you don't have to be 6'2" anymore to be catcher.
Yeah, as far as those pop times, obviously you always see your base coaches, with the stopwatches, and they're looking at times to the plate, for pitchers and then also just total operation times, and that time to the plate combined with the pop time, and the pop time was of course from the time from mitt to mitt, or mitt to glove, from the time it hits the catcher's mitt to the time it gets to second base, or wherever the ball's being thrown. But kind of sticking with the up the middle theme, because obviously that's where you want the strength of your team to be. As the old adage goes, last year on the Pirates certainly didn't get the play that they would have liked at shortstop. And we'll talk more about Alex Boucher later, but give that young man so much credit, because by all accounts, from what Coach Godwin has said, that young man had nothing but a positive attitude. He loves being an East Carolina Pirate, and he just wanted to be part of the answer in some way. And he has stayed on in a utility role. So that's nice to have somebody that can play pretty much most any infield position if need be, and he could probably, in a pinch, if something dictated it, hop into the corner outfield as well. So glad to see Alex Boucher stick around.
Most definitely. What a team player. Realized that he needed to do whatever was required to try and help the team when they moved on to another shortstop at that time. But yeah, great attitude. You want players like that, and he definitely has a role. And going back to pinch hitting or DH in any given game, he's got a lot of power to right center. We know that, and I've been reading where he's worked on hitting the all speed pitches or laying off or whatever he needs to do. So he's gotten better at that as well. So yeah, you can't. I mean, this kid went out there, he did his best, and now he's saying, Coach, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team. What more can you ask for from a player?
I agree totally. Plus the fact that he's a Pitt County guy, South Central, that adds a little bit to it for me. But yeah, the last 8 games, he essentially was, benched, and Dixon played short. And I mean, I just remember seeing him congratulating people, if they did something well on the way back to the dugout, and always like waving, he was just into the game. And I was like, wow, that dude, he has great character, because he's not pouting. He wants to be out there. He wants to be out there, but he's, like you said, Wool, he's in it for the best of the team. And that meant that he'd, take a break, and I root for him. So, I don't know where he fits in exactly, but I think we'll be glad that we have him a few times this season, I'm sure.
But going into the season and your preseason at this juncture, Matt Lashley coming in from Indian River, JUCO down in Florida, and he's a tremendous. And this came from a Division I coach, and that is an elite defender I think he had something like either 1 or 2 errors. And obviously that can be, some of that can be, just very hit or miss based on the official score. But nonetheless, anything I've heard from our coaching staff and that I've seen in the fall definitely backs that up. And I know at UNCG, not a ton of opportunities. Neither team hit the ball very well that day, but the opportunities that Matt did have, he ranged deep into the hole, made a nice play going to his left up the middle, and then has an above average arm as well.
Yeah, he's a local guy for me. He's from the same county that I am, and talking to some baseball player, they were well aware of who he was, in high school, and he's kind of a special talent. That's why I guess he left Patriot High School and went to one of the academies. Which one was it? Pro V or Pro 5 or something like that. And he does have an above average arm. And also, I went to the first game of the Purple Gold World Series. I know you went to the second. And I love his batting style. He's a contact hitter, but he definitely displayed some power on that day. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's got some speed as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you're
is
going to
the
get
one
it.
thing.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Bubba.
very quickly. We'll just kind of piggybacking off what JR was saying. That is kind of the biggest question mark around Matt Lashley going into the season. Where will his bat be, especially at the Division I level? He did hit, I think, just shy of 300 his first year at JUCO, and then last year hit about 320, 325. So we'll see how it translates. The good news is, give credit to Stephen Igo, hoist the colors here in his write-up, and I definitely encourage all Pirate fans to go check those individual player profiles out. He's already done about 5 of this year's roster, with a lot more headed your way, but he said that the coaching staff was pleased with the progress that Lashley's made since arriving to campus with the bat.
Yeah, we know his defensive skills, right? I think Coach Godwin gave him credit for 2 errors, but actually he only had 1 error, which is amazing for the shortstop position. I'll just say that. And as a pitcher, former pitcher, I can tell you, when you have a shortstop, second base, middle of the infield as tight as somebody like that, it gives you a lot more confidence. You pitch to contact a little bit more, that type of stuff. But he does look like he's going to get on base, and his batting is going to come around, and we'll see. But yeah, what an addition for the middle of the infield, and obviously the lineup is not set right now, but it's hard to not start a guy that's not going to make a lot of errors, that has a lot of range and a above average arm like he does from shortstop.
Yep. And Matt Lashley, I can't remember if you mentioned this, JR, but he is a left-handed bat. And he's someone that, from what I recall that day at UNCG, he did put the ball in play. So, like Wool mentioned, even if he's not swinging it great, but he's moving runners, he's good with the short game and all those things, then from what I've heard about his defense, I would expect to see him in the lineup more often than not, but we shall see. Another option there could be South Florida transfer, and guy that we had on the show, Carlos Hakame. Carlos was a shortstop, prior to college, I guess, and then I guess even in JUCO, I think he played shortstop and then was converted to second base with the Bulls.
Yeah, he's a kind of player that you're going to get full effort out of. He loves to play the game. South Florida guy from I think he's from Venezuela. So I can assure you, playing baseball when I did in Panama, that it's a different sport down there. The way the fans are. So hopefully the jungle will show him that we support and love baseball as much as they do down there. So yeah, a great utility player, shortstop, second baseman, can hit the ball, get on base type player. So hopefully we can see good things out of him as well.
Yeah, I remember when we interviewed him. When was that, Bob? At the tail end of last season.
Back in the summer,
Yeah.
right after the news
I
broke
think it
that
was
he
July,
was.
the July 4th weekend, Bubba.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Well, that's impressive. That you're
Well, I was at the
pinpointing.
beach. I was at the beach. I would have loved to have been on that
Okay.
call.
Okay. So anyhow, yeah. Well, then that's funny because you mentioned it's a different deal in the Latin countries like Panama and Venezuela. He alluded to that by saying that I think that's one of the reasons he chose East Carolina is because he thrives on the big crowds. He said, and you go play at any level in Venezuela, you're getting huge crowds and people are everyone's interested in what you're doing. So South Florida is probably a little bit more lackluster in that respect, and I think he'll get exactly what he wants in Greenville.
Agreed. I agree with that totally.
And Hakame, as a USF Bull, I think hit something like 310, 315, showed some pop for a little bit of a smaller guy, 5'11", and maybe 185, 190 pounds, if I'm
Yeah, I
remembering.
think he mentioned one of his favorite players was the name's escaping me now. Jr. Help me, Astros player, second
Yeah,
base.
of course, the little guy with a lot of power.
Yeah, yeah. And
Jeez, well,
I that shows my age there, Bubba. But yeah, he did
no.
mention that that's one of his favorite players. So
Altuve.
yeah, Jose Altuve. There you go.
And but he hit, like I said, 310, 315, more free passes than strikeouts, good bat to ball skills, 4 or 5 home runs, I think, or around 10 doubles. So you're getting a quality at bat and um, quality bat, and then defensively very solid as well. Another guy that could factor in there at shortstop or could play it if necessary is Colby Wallace. Colby just elite a year ago at third base, and that's where I would expect to see him. But he can shift over to first, and then also can play short if necessary.
Yeah, and Colby. Interestingly enough, I was looking at this. I was telling John I reviewed every box score from last season, and Colby only played third base once in the first 4 games, and that was game 2 against JMU. He was playing first base the other times, but then when they put him at third, he locked in there, and unless he was on the mound, he stayed there the rest of the season. But yeah, he's versatile enough where he could definitely play short if he had to.
Yeah, most definitely. But at third base last year, he showed an elite level of play, and he also did it in the off season. And I'm not sure if everybody saw video of him in the summer leagues, but incredible defense. He had 2 errors last year. He has range. He definitely has an arm, as we know, as he will come in and pitch when he's needed. But a guy out of Bisco, North Carolina, went to
Yep.
Pinecrest. Heck of a defender. Now, offensively, he started off great. He kind of had a dip towards the end of the year there, but you can expect double-digit doubles and home runs from a guy like him with elite defense. You can't ask for more.
How about some pitching? Can I ask for that too?
You're going to get some of that too as well.
Yeah, we'll dive more into that in the morning. But like you
Yeah.
mentioned, Colby Wallace, I think 13 appearances a year ago. That was actually a few more than what I had recalled. But Seawall, as you mentioned, not where he would have liked to have been. 270 is where he finished the year, but 10 home runs, 10 doubles. He's definitely a candidate. I could see him being a 12 to 15 home run guy, perhaps, and 15 plus doubles. in 2026. And I think kind of the same thing applies for another guy that we'll get to in a few minutes, Austin Irby. But
I just want to say one more thing about Colby.
Sure, go ahead.
His 270, it wasn't what he wanted, but he started off really, really, really slow. So towards the end of the season, he was a 300 plus guy for most of the latter part of the season. He just unfortunately got off to a slow start. But
and what I was mentioning earlier was about his RBI totals. I mean, he really was on it RBI wise going into the midseason, and then that kind of slowed down, and that's what I was referring to. Not the batting average and that thing, but he did have a high total of RBI early in the season into the midseason.
Another guy
that kind of curtailed is what I was saying.
Yeah, definitely will. Definitely.
Kind of a depth piece there. Really could probably play about anywhere in the infield, and that's Nick Parham. Nick played in, I believe it was 23 games a year ago and started 2 or 3. He's a left-handed bat. Definitely a better defender than hitter. But he did, I think, have a home run a season ago.
Yeah, against Tulane.
And I guess it was it the big bounce back win perhaps after we got run ruled.
We lost the game, but he still had a nice shot.
Gotcha.
I just want to say something about him though. The fact that he can play short too, he can play second. He was on Colby's team in the Valley League, and I saw them play several times. He was on the Charlottesville Tomcats. He played third most of the time. Colby played first, but he played every position on the field other than pitcher and catcher. He played all 7 positions. I don't know that he ever made an error. I don't think he did. He made a ridiculous catch in right field to launch him into the playoffs. And that left-handed bat, that might be proved valuable for him because, the only time he really saw action at the beginning of the year is when Colby pitched. Because when Colby pitched, then Dixon would go to third, and then Nick would come in at second. And, that's when he saw most of the action. Now, that whole dynamic is kind of gone now, so it'll be interesting. I hope he gets some, plate appearances because I like that kid, and he can play anywhere. Just stick him somewhere, he'll come through for you.
And what was that? I know you're talking about the Charlottesville Tom Sox. What did JR accidentally say?
I think JR said Tomcats.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, JR.
No, I couldn't. Did I? If I did,
I'm not sure. We'll have to check the tape. We'll have to check the tape.
Roll it back because I've been going to Tom Sox games. We've had a lot of Pirates play for the Tom Sox. Going back to Carter Spivey, Carter Cunningham.
Didn't Wyatt Lunsford Chinkman?
Yeah. And before then, there was even some that I just can't think of right now. So I've been. I apologize.
What about Trey?
Nation.
Seems like maybe Trey pitched.
Absolutely, he absolutely did.
Because I remember seeing a funny picture of him and Wyatt Lunsford Chinkman after a game when they were icing.
Yeah, I know times have changed now, but the Valley League used to be, obviously the Cape is where everybody wants to go, but the Valley League used to be an awesome league, but there's so many different leagues now, it's hard to, and JR, you live up there in the Valley, or you've been in that Valley a lot. That was some great baseball.
It's the best. It's like hometown USA. You just couldn't ask for a better environment to watch baseball.
Guys, appreciate everyone.
Go ahead, Bubba.
Appreciate everyone chiming in on Facebook, YouTube, and X tonight. Curtis Cone says, I appreciate what you guys do. Love the Pirate baseball content by knowledgeable people. Really appreciate that, Curtis, and look forward to you chiming in throughout the 2026 season. Also, Justin Butts saying, what's up, guys? And then also Ryan Sproul And he says,
Ryan.
JR can't remember something. I don't believe it.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
But yeah, kind of like along those same lines, Ryan, with my memory, I'm so good at remembering things most of the time that if I don't remember something, then people were shocked and like, well, what's wrong with you? But kind of
Yeah,
sticking there in the.
I have to give you props on that, Bubba. You remember things from
Yeah.
20, 25 years ago that 30 years ago at this point, but yeah, good stuff. And JR spitting off his stats. It's great
Yeah, but
to
don't
do a
put me
show
in
with both of
Bubba's
you.
league. Don't do it
No, no, I'm
because
just saying it's
I
like
marvel at
I
him as
like to be
well.
prepared. I need to write notes. I'm to that age where I have to have like little sticky notes and the index cards, JR.
Hey, I'm a fan. I go to the dollar store and get 50 of them for like, I guess a dollar. Or I guess it's $1.25 nowadays with the cost of living. But well, I used to think I'll remember that. There's no way I'm going to forget that. And then under the heat of the lights, I'm like, oh boy. But now I have the index card, so I shouldn't be struggling for names anymore.
All right, so Woolen Stats, Justin Butts, he says, can't wait for y'all to have me on and talk some umpiring and pirate baseball. Already getting some college games on my schedule as well. So he's submitting an application to be our resident umpire.
It's cool with me.
Would love to have a conversation with him. And I've done some umpiring in my past, not at the level he's done it, but I know the abuse he's went through, so I'd love to have some conversation with him about it.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
maybe we can get Justin and Wilson Rayner, the official co-umpires of Jungle Tales. But sticking there in the middle defensively, um, guys that we have not mentioned, kind of shifting over to second base. We talked about Carlos Hakame and his ability to play short. He got the majority of his reps at second base this fall, from what I gathered. And then also, of course, Braden Burris, very good at second base. And then Braxton Trammell, not your prototypical second baseman from a build standpoint, but has the ability to play there. And depending on what you're trying to do offensively and who's swinging the hot bat, can definitely play second as well.
Yeah. Brandon finished the season playing the last 8 games at second base and played it very well. And Braxton never got a shot at second. He did play third base twice. And it's funny, Braxton started the first game of the year at third base. And then he didn't start at third base again until that fateful Charlotte game when he had that collision with Alex Boucher. And it's just funny how, they decided to put him at third, and then obviously that was a change, a season changer for us and for him especially. But I think I've heard he's ready to go now, obviously.
Yeah, and these guys can play all over the field, but that's the problem we keep talking about that Cliff's going to have. He's got so many players, and Braxton pre-injury, and Johnny has said this before, was leading the American in home runs. So you got a lot of power coming out of Braxton. Who knows where he's going to play? Braden can play anywhere on the field, outfield, infield. So great problem to have between those two, and who knows what's going to happen at this point. But
And both of them
what a
can play
great
the
two.
outfield.
What a great two-player combination to have to try and figure things out.
Agreed.
As far as Braxton Trammell is concerned, 345 a season ago. He played in 24 games before he went down with that injury against Charlotte, where he and Alex Boucher collided on a ball hit in the 6-hole. And initially, I was at that game, and initially I thought I did not realize that it was a shoulder injury. But you saw him. He was going through some drills and so forth, but was never able to come back last season, and that was definitely wise move on not to take any chances.
Yeah.
But Braxton Trammell, a switch hitter, and a guy that, in addition to that position versatility, a Division I college coach told me that Braxton Trammell, in his estimation, is the best bat on our team. And I know when I saw him against UNCG, he looked like he hadn't skipped a beat, like he was picking up exactly where he left off last season. And 345 with 4 home runs in those 55 or 60 ABs before he went down.
Yeah, he had 55 at bats, 34 total bases, and on base plus slugging was over 1,000. He's going to be a good one, and you're looking at a guy that can hit 15, 20 home runs. And I'm not trying to put pressure on the young man, but he's got a heck of a bat.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
Yeah, he's the guy that I would expect to see somewhere 3, 4, 5 for the bulk of the season. But kind of, let's see, I think we've pretty much hit on all the guys in the middle infield. But one that I failed to mention, newcomer, freshman, I think is a two-way player, but Brett Beasley. Brett Beasley's out of Virginia, and heard some good things about him coming out of fall.
Hampton Roads guy, right, Johnny? I mean, was the number 3 ranked shortstop in the state. Tall shortstop, kind of like the Cal Ripken type. That's about all I know about him.
Yeah,
But I've
6'2", 6'3", if
yeah,
I'm
big,
remembering
tall
right.
shortstop. But yeah, one of the better players in the Hampton Roads area. I'd never have seen him play. That's just what I've read about him. I don't know if Johnny has more info on him.
I'll be honest with you. I have not studied up on that young man. So I don't have anything to add to that. But he's from Virginia, so he can't be that bad.
We seem to have a good presence in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia with
Well,
recruiting.
the whole state, really. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We really do.
Speaking of a guy from Virginia Beach, Austin Irby. Man, he finished last season on a tear, just absolutely on fire down there in Conway. Finished the year a little over 300, 12 home runs, drove in 50. I think finished with 10 doubles. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, like Seawall, Austin Irby could be a guy that's 12 and 15 or something along those lines this year, if not 15 and 15.
Totally agree. I mean, we could be looking at a 3-man punch between him and Seawall and then Braxton with guys that could all hit like the 51 win team is what I'm saying. When you had those big 3 bombers they had, I mean, seriously,
Ryan
his swing.
Jones, Daryl and Trevor Longhorn, and
Oh
and
yeah,
then also
yeah.
you had Ryan Norwood, but yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah. The point I'm trying to make is you're going. I mean, Austin has got a swing plane that's perfect from the left hand plate, side of the plate for Greenville. I mean, I could foresee a lot more homer, especially if he plays the way he did in the regional and the kind of bat you cannot take out of lineup. Seems like he's going to be stuck on first base. But yeah, the 12 home runs and the way he played at the end of the year last year was incredible. He's not the type of player that coach could bunt at the end of the year. Let me put it that way.
No, not at all.
yeah.
And he did it from the 7 spot. I don't know, I don't foresee he'll ever revisit the 7 spot again. But the last 8 games of the year, the postseason games, where he batted 7, that entire time. I don't think we'll see him go there again, though.
Yeah,
I can't see that
would
either.
be surprised, but you never know.
Yeah, it worked for him.
Yeah, as always, you expect to see a lot of different combinations, especially early in the season. But ECU Baseball on X and Instagram put out some pictures from the scrimmages over the last couple of days, and Austin Irby was wearing that Department of Defense shirt, that red or in kind of a no-quarter look, and so he's flashing the glove early in the preseason. But he's a guy that has the ability to play third, played third a lot in the fall, and intrigued to see in how many reps he may get over there. But with what Seawall's done,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to see him being moved, but who knows?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know. And, we talk about NIL money and stuff like that now in sports. And the thing, Austin stayed with East Carolina. That's another aspect to this. And I'm sure he was offered to leave. So kudos to him for sticking with the Pirates because obviously his bat is very impressive to many teams outside of the CAA. Or I said CAA, that's going back to my time, but the American Athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, John, that after the Coastal Carolina regional was finished, that was the guy I think that all three of us were worried about near the top of
Yeah.
the list.
We had a good idea who was going to be taken or, who
Yeah.
people wanted, and he was at the top of the list for sure.
In retrospect, would you say that we did very well? I would. That as far as keeping who we kept, losing who we lost, I feel like we had a stunning.
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
did a good job in replacing what we lost, and that was more in the pitching ranks, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You had Jaden Winter, who had gone through the senior day ceremonies, and he, I guess, perhaps it was in an appeal situation, but now he is at Charlotte. And then, of course, Lance Williams, he is now Maryland Terrapin. And from what I've seen on social media in D1 baseball, I think it was saying that he could very well be their ace, which isn't surprising with what we
No.
saw from Lance at times. And then of course, I'm blanking on his name. That went to Liberty. That pitched the gym in the. They pitched the gym against. Yeah, Bradley
Zayak.
Zayak, aka Yak.
Yak.
Bradley Zayak, but he, I think wound up at Liberty. But kind of moving back as we're wrapping up our talk about the infielders. You had Luke Craddock, we haven't mentioned, freshman, once again from the state of Virginia. Bats right, throws right, and then he's a 6'3", 225-pound kid, and big time bat. And then the guy that we mentioned when we started the discussion, and that's Alex Boucher. Alex had a long history of playing first base for the Old Dominion Monarchs, and you saw him there at first a lot this fall, and you also saw him on the mound. Alex could really fit in a lot of places, and the good news is, give credit to Mike Mullis here with his weekly visits on Pirate Radio, but Mully said he was very, very encouraged with the progress that he saw with Alex Boucher's approach at the plate. Last year, of course, so many strikeouts, but he saw a very disciplined approach that resulted in many less Ks in the fall. So he's hoping, as we all are, that translates to the spring.
Yeah, and going back to Luke, I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's from Virginia and bigger frame kind of guy. Was the number 2 ranked first baseman in Virginia, right? JR.
Yeah, he was. But I made a mistake. I was thinking of Luke when Matt Lashley is not. I think I claimed that he was from Virginia. But
yeah. So he's one of those guys from Florida,
Texas.
right? Or Texas,
yeah, I think he's from Texas. He is from Texas. Yeah. So I think I did. If I did, I apologize. I was thinking of.
I will say this. Going back to Matt, he played at Indian River. A lot of people. I spent some time in Florida, but Indian River area for baseball is excellent area. They know their baseball, so that's another thing I wanted to mention that I didn't earlier. But going back to Luke, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I do know that he was a highly rated player out of Virginia.
Yeah.
And then going back to what Bubba was saying about Alex and doing what he needs to do, but pitching wise, I'll be glad. I mean, he's got a tremendous arm. Everybody knows that. I'd be interested to see how he does on the mound if he does get on the mound. But yeah, first base seems to be where he's most comfortable. But he seems like a ultra athlete, can play wherever you need him. So good for Alex, and
Yeah, big.
hopefully he can lay off the what we know. But anyway, I won't go that way.
Yeah, Dale Murphy. Look,
Yeah. Oh, the deal. Yeah. Yeah.
that low and away. But yeah, Alex, tremendous arm, and he definitely did not look out of place on the mound against UNCG in the fall. Came into a bases loaded, no out, either no out or one out situation. Believe it was no outs, and got out of that, allowing just a single run, if I'm not mistaken, or was close. Maybe there was a miscue, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's,
he handled that situation very very impressively for someone who has not pitched in quite some time.
yeah. And that's what I like about Cliff. He's willing to. I mean, you got to think about it. A lot of these guys have played every position in high school, and a lot of them were great pitchers that became only position players in college, and a lot were position players that could pitch. It's amazing how coach will give every player a chance. And I was a pitcher. I was a very good hitter as well, but when I went to East Carolina, at that time it was like you either pitch or you hit. So the fact that coach gives the players a chance to go out there and show something to help the team, and especially if you have a position player that can go in and pitch, that's there's a lot of versatility when it comes to that. So I give coach credit allowing these guys to give him a shot to show him what he has, and if he proves he can do it, then there you go. So that's one aspect of coach's game that I love.
Guys, any final thoughts on the infield before we shift out to the outfield?
No, I'm good.
So we'll start in center field. A few options there. Alex Peltier, of course, started there a lot last year. Then you had Riley Johnson able to play down the stretch, which was awesome on a number of levels. But Alex is capable. We saw some highlight reel plays. We saw some young mistakes, if you will. But and Alex is a guy that he really swung the bat well the first weekend or two, and then really struggled from that point on. But then started over the last 2 to 3 weeks when the Pirates got hot. He started to kind of rein in or dial in that form that we saw the first 2 weeks of the season, which was great to see. And then he had an excellent summer. I can't remember exactly where he played, but had a good
Cal Ripken
summer.
League, right?
Yeah, the Ripken League. He
Best
played
Was he
for
with Bethesda?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've had so many guys tear it up with the big train, going back to Burley when he was the Babe Ruth of that league.
Yeah.
But in addition to Alex Peltier, you of course have, if he had to play there, Braden Burris could, but Jeff Sabater, Sabater coming in from Millersville, a D2 powerhouse, and then Davin Whitaker saw some reps there this fall. And let's see, who have I left out? There's somebody I've left out, but go ahead. What are your guys' thoughts on center field?
I don't think Davin's going to get much play there. He did play a couple of games in center field, but I think he's a right. I think he's a right fielder. I think center field is like Braden played 5 games. He started 5 games in center field last year, like you mentioned. And Sabater, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to expect out of him. I mean, the guy had 96 stolen bases out of 107 attempts at Millersville. So I want to see him on the base pass. That's for sure. And that shows you, he's been compared to Lane Hoover in size and speed in the outfield. So that would be a treat to see that. Peltier, I'm not sure. His hitting's got, like you said, his hitting's got to come around. or he's not going to be the everyday starter like
And
he
and
was.
I'm the one I left out was the obvious one. You can tell it's almost 11 o'clock at night because studied up
Oh,
a yeah, great Grady Linehan, great Grady Linehan. Um, Cliff Godwin has raved over, and that's something, as we know, he typically doesn't do for freshmen. But they said that early in the fall, when he went through the outfield drills in indie drills, that if you'd have told him that he would be saying these things, that he wouldn't have believed it. Um, but he's a guy that legitimately has a chance to be the opening day starter in center field for the Pirates, and that says a lot. He's 5'10", 195 pounds or so, built very solidly, and he's kind of a throwback, if you will, and he's a sub 6'6". I think I think I'd seen where he had been clocked in the 60 at 6'5'8".
yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. I've heard nothing but great things about the young man. So, freshman coming in, you don't know what you're going to get, but everyone is raving about him. It wasn't like he was the highest rated or ranked player in Virginia, but the way he's looking and the way people are talking, you can think that his game's going to expand. And let's go back to Peltier real quick. Had a great summer. The guy can cover a lot of ground. He did play well in the summer, so we should see what's going to happen there. Right now, we know everything's up in the air, but
Yeah. Somebody that I know that was at more the spring than I was said that he had a great summer, and then in the spring he looked like he had reverted back to like
yeah. He,
early season form last year.
I have no doubt about him playing defense. Yeah, he's had his ups and downs hitting. He came through there at the end of the year last year, kind of went through into the summer, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's the question mark, obviously. And then Davin also had a really good year in his summer ball as
Yeah.
well. And you wonder if he's ever going to develop, kind of like the JJC
Well,
Junior
he's
type.
JJC
Yeah,
2.0.
Yeah, you wonder if
JJC
that's
Light.
ever going to come about, right?
That's why he's got to play right field.
Yeah, he's got to be in right field. Plus the crowd out there.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
Davin Whitaker out of Davie County, and as Wool mentioned, for the Boone Bigfoots over the summer, he hit close to 390. I think 387 to be exact, and had 18 doubles, and really played well up there. The Boone Bigfoots, of course, play at Smith Stadium, the home of App State. Go ahead, Jr.
I know. I was going to say he's another left-handed bat. Peltier. What I was going to say about him is last season, starting with the second Carolina game, he played like 8 games in a row where he was the leadoff batter. And then, he spent most of the season batting in the 8 or 9 hole the rest of the way. But that summer showed us that, what he's capable of. So, he's from my hometown. He's from Haymarket. So I'm hoping that, he's competitive out there, and that we see a lot of him this season. I think we will.
As far as outfielders go and the freshmen coming in,
Yeah,
I saw Jack Strom was on the roster. Don't know a
yeah,
lot about him. I don't know if you guys do.
yeah. Jack Strom, a big physical outfielder, something like 6'2", 6'3", 210, 215.
Out of
And
Millbrook.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's from
and
Millbrook. I know that.
yeah, put up some very impressive numbers as a prep player, and would not be surprised to see him get some time. But well, we
Was
shall
he
see as
he's a lefty at bat.
the season goes. But you just never know how things are going to unfold. But right
Yeah,
now, you look at it, you could see some very good players
yeah.
that are trying to vie for time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of to go around. He's
But
like you said, big 6'2", left-hander, hitting, right-handed, throwing out of Raleigh. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, you never know with these freshmen. It's a tough adjustment. I mean, you're coming in, you're one of the better players in your conference, and all of a sudden you step on the field, and every one of these players was that or better. So, you know, you got to get your mindset right and start to develop even more. And that's what coach at East Carolina seems to be able to do. You know, all of them, to be honest with you. So, go ahead.
We talked about Davin Whitaker's bat and what he did this summer with the Boone Bigfoots against UNCG. This fall, I saw him make a tremendous diving catch going to his left, just inside the right field line. And a guy that played a lot of right field for the Pirates last year. He played in something like 50 or 51 games, started a little over half the Pirates games, and that's Jack Herring. And Jack, he's not a Gold Glove out there, but he's serviceable. He got better as the season went along, and his bat really came around. He had some quality ABs early without a lot to show for it, but then he finished the season. You didn't think as much about him because of the tear that Austin Irby was on, but Jack Herring was on a tear in Conway as well and finished hitting right around 300, 305, somewhere in there, and hit 5 bombs and did a lot of nice things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he played outfield, right field, and had some issues trying to get underneath some balls, but he had a great summer as well. I mean, was he not the where did he play? New England Collegiate League? JR? I'm sorry.
You mean like the summer league?
Yeah, where did he play in the summer league? I think it was New
I'm not,
England.
yeah, I'm sure with because he was supposed to be on the Garden Gnomes, but yeah, who wouldn't take a pass at that if you could go to New England, and that's where he went. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
He's the player of the year in the league.
Yeah, great summer. He had a great summer.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
The name of the team
position
is escaping me, but they wore purple as well.
Did he play the outfield? I mean, was he playing right field? I didn't know where he played. I know offensively he had a pretty good season in the summer league.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure because all the footage I saw was him at the plate. But
I have an interesting story about him, though. At least I think it's interesting. Hopefully, somebody else will. If Ryan's listening, Ryan was there, so Ryan knows about this. I think it was the regionals. I don't know if it was the Wake game. I think it might have been a bunch of the Garden Gnomes. What are they called? Yard Gnomes. The Greenville Yard Gnomes.
Yeah, Yard Gnomes.
Yeah, Jack was on the Yard Gnomes in 24 during the summer. A bunch of the players hung out at the tent where Josh Thomas does the grilling and Ryan hangs out there. I hang out there. We got a bunch of TVs. We watch other games. And he said, this place, I want to come here. I want to play on this field. And nobody gave that much thought. He's from Georgia. But darn if he didn't make it happen. So a lot of respect to him for that. That's for sure. That was the first time I'd ever met him or seen him, was when he was a member of the Yard Gnomes, playing for, was it D2 or junior college, I think, in Georgia.
He was playing for Rollins.
Yeah,
okay.
Out of Georgia.
College, yeah. Rollins College, right.
He was playing for Rollins and down in Florida, and then Jack's originally from Georgia, but playing at Rollins down in Florida, and maybe it was I thought the story that you were gonna tell. Oh, it's kind of along those same lines, but I remember I think it was Trent Britt had some conversations, talking to Jack during his time with the Yard Gnomes, and that thing was, of course, it was initiated by Jack Herring. He just, as JR mentioned, he attended the game. He said, I'm not leaving Greenville without giving it a shot to letting it be known that I'm entering the portal and that I want to come here.
Yeah, I left out an important detail, though. I mean, I feel like it was the Dill Days hospitality that won him over. they just instantly made him. And actually, he was living with the Dildays during his time with the Yard Gnomes. So that it just the whole thing. He just saw the whole. I mean, if nothing says pirate fan more than the Dildays. So he saw that. He just wanted to be a part of it. That was my interpretation.
Yep, exactly. And so we've talked about Peltier, Herring, Braden Burris, everything he did. That position flexibility can play in the outfield, any of the outfield spots. We of course have primarily seen him in center and left, and then making highlight reel plays, web gems there, and then also I remember the highlight reel play he made at second base. I think it was against Rice with the diving catch, just unreal. But Jeff Sabater, Jack Strom, Davin Whitaker. So the ones that by my account here that we have not mentioned, Braden Bachman, a talented freshman, the JUCO who began his career at Cincinnati, and then Walter State JUCO, and that's Jack Vogeley that we had on the show. If you've not heard that show, definitely encourage you to go back and check that out, along with Carlos Hakame, and then also Chance Hall, who's had a injury-riddled career, but has been used as a pinch runner and maybe a late-inning defensive replacement.
Yep, that's him. He gives it. I tell you, when he gets out there, he's hard. He's fast on the base paths, and he goes full speed 100% of the time. I like watching Chance when he gets in the game.
But Jack Vogeley,
talking about Jack's last season, I mean, think about that. He had 19 home runs, 22 doubles, 95 RBI, and 101 runs and 211 at bats. So we're going to see how this is going to translate at East Carolina. But he looks like a big stick in the lineup at 6'3", 225. Wow, you got a big presence there. So
yeah. That's where I was going to go with that. Just Jack Vogeley, and we'll see how it translates at the D1 level. But especially all speed stuff. But very fired up about him being a Pirate, and like that's kind of where I was going a few minutes ago, when a lot of the names that we've talked about. And then you see a guy like Jack Vogeley that we hadn't even mentioned just yet.
yeah, no doubt. Going back to the comments we made, there's a lot to go around there, and you think of Jack. I mean, his last two seasons, in the previous location there. Where was it? Where was he from? I'm sorry, out of Walter State, I think.
Yeah, he's from Cincinnati. He had played it, I think, at Cincinnati Christian.
Yeah, Cincinnati. I mean, his slugging and on base, that's up in 1,300 area. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And we just hope it translates, because can you imagine if he can bring that production down here and he goes off. There's just a lot. I mean, I laugh at how much that Cliff has to look at and say, who do I plug in here and there,
Yeah. On that line, I'd like to make a point to people that may see who's, on the field the first few series or the first couple of games, the first couple of weeks. It never changes. I mean, it never stays the same. It always changes. Just go back to last year. Our starting right fielder was Keenan Bowman for the entire George Mason series. And then you had Braden Burris. Braden Burris only started 3 of the first 12 games that we had. And then, he didn't start 2 consecutive games till the end of the Coastal Series. That was the first time he played back-to-back games as a starter. And then, he was a fixture. But it took him a while to get there. And, so you never know, like, if you think somebody should be playing and your favorite player, whatever, they're not on the starting lineup, just give it some time. Things change. And the opening day lineup is not going to be the same as the week 3 lineup. That I can guarantee you.
Yeah, and if you wanted my opinion, I think there's only 3 spots on the field that we know are solidified. In my opinion, this could, coach
First, third, and catcher.
first, third, and catcher. And you would think that Lashley's going to play shortstop. We don't know. This stuff
Yeah.
is going to change, folks. And coach is going to find the players that he wants at every spot, and he's going to tinker with it till he feels he got it right. So, and it took till the end of the year last year. Hopefully, we're good by midseason this year. But there's a lot to go around here, and there's a lot of talent on this team. That's a good thing. I'm very excited to see what we have on the field this year.
And you never know, like you said. But one thing that I think that I'd feel pretty good putting a little money on, and that is that the first batter to step in the box against
Braden.
Xavier in the bottom of the first would be Braden Burris. So
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what
I'm not
a
sure
table setter.
You cannot pry him out of the first spot. Yeah, a perfect table setter. Yes.
Yeah.
389, but then his on base percentage 488.
Incredible.
A lot more free passes than strikeouts.
18 stolen bases. Yeah.
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 So, guys, I think that about does it positionally. And any final thoughts on that before we move on to a couple other things and get out of here?
I think we covered everything we wanted to.
Yeah.
One thing that we have not mentioned, and that is, and we mentioned it on previous podcasts, but that's the hiring last summer of Jake Gautreaux, and he is, of course, the Pirates' new hitting coach, taking over the reins, coming over from Mississippi State. He was on that staff that was let go in Starkville, but he was, I think, maybe 2018 or 2019, whatever year Mississippi State won it all, he was the National Assistant Coach of the Year. And tickled to death to have Coach Goat in Greenville, and very intrigued to see the influence that he has on things.
Yeah, the approach from the SEC compared to what we have at East Carolina is going to be a little different. We'll see how that merges between the two coaches. So, yeah, I'm intrigued as well.
I can't think of another university that has a higher caliber of 3 coaches in their dugout.
You're talking
than
about
those 3. I'm talking about Jeff Palumbo, and
I'd go even
Cliff.
4. I'd go 4.
Yeah. Okay, we can go 4. Yeah, we can go 4 for sure.
Yeah, Coach Palumbo, obviously, we know that.
Yeah.
And then we got Coach Goat, and then right now, and this is another thing. Our pitching coach, Austin Knight.
Austin Knight. He could be he could go. I'm sure he's been offered plenty of times.
Yes.
To take other jobs. So I should have gone 4. Now I feel bad, Will. But you're absolutely correct. Thank you for setting the record straight, because it is 4. It's not 3.
But what a dugout. Mike. Think about playing for those guys. These guys coming in need to enjoy the moment and realize who they're playing for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay Gautreaux, of course, very familiar with East Carolina because he played at Tulane, and Coach Goat has been mentioned multiple times when that Tulane job has come open, but they've obviously made the decision to hire elsewhere. And then, as you mentioned, with Jeff Palumbo, so highly thought of, and he's had a chance, at least one, if not multiple, head coaching opportunities that he's declined because of how much he likes it in Greenville and enjoys his current role with the Pirates, and it just wasn't the right fit to walk away from everything he had going on with ECU. But Coach
Palumbo was 1-0 as the head coach, right? Didn't he win the game when Cliff was suspended?
Cliff was suspended, and Coach Palumbo.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for another guy to step into that position and know it better than Coach Palumbo.
No.
That was the game when Dixon stole home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a game. What a game.
But a few other nuggets. Sorry, go ahead, Jr.
Oh, no, no, no. I was done. I was done. Go ahead,
Okay.
brother.
Uh, the first of those nuggets, and I apologize. I meant to lead with this, but with the show running a few minutes behind, it slipped my mind. But thoughts and prayers with the family of Waylon Summerlin. Wade Summerlin, his father, passed away.
Mm.
Diehard Pirate fan, Eastern North Carolina native. Just he's a guy that absolutely loved the Pirates. Was at most home games when his health allowed, and Wade is someone that I met. I guess it was probably back in the early 2000s, before the end of Harrington Field. But I had known Wade for a little over 20 years. Always enjoyed talking Pirates with him, be it baseball or otherwise. And again, thoughts and prayers to his son, Waylon, his daughter, Denise, who I also know and have known for about that same length of time, and then his grandson, and the rest of his family. But his grandson, Spencer, is someone I know and watched part of the game against Coastal down in Conway last year at the regional with him. But and for Pirate fans, you may have seen some apparel and koozies out in the left field jungle over the years. They've been around probably 10 to 15 years now. Well, actually, it hasn't been that long. It went back to 2017 is when the comment was made, that season opening series down at Ole Miss, as you guys recall. But Spencer was tailgating with my dad, his dad, Waylon, and some others, and made the comment, and we were just talking about the atmosphere at Clark LeClaire and how it was rowdy and loud. And he said, well, we are loud people. And so my dad it's like, that would be funny to put on a shirt. So we have a jungle scene with the cannon firing, since they're part of the cannon crew there in left center, which is, of course, fired after each and every Pirate run. But again, thoughts and prayers to the Summerlin family.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well said.
But we'll promote our upcoming content and then get out of here. As I mentioned, on Monday, we'll have our pitching staff preview. The staff, of course, led by junior Ethan Norby, the preseason American Conference Pitcher of the Year. Later on in the week, or next weekend, we'll have our American Conference preview. We'll take a look at every team in the league. Each of us are going to take 3 teams apiece, and we'll bring that information to you sometime within the next week. Next Tuesday, January 27th, 8:45, we're catching up with Mike Rooney of D1 Baseball, also contributes to the ESPN coverage during the regionals, super regionals, and, of course, Omaha. And during the season, he's part of the ACC network, if I'm not mistaken. And then Trent Britt, always a wealth of information when it comes to Pirate baseball, of course, of Next Level Training Center there in Greenville on Wimbledon Drive, always doing a great business. And Trent will join us sometime late in January or that first week of February for an in-depth look at the Pirates. But guys, that's all I have. Any final thoughts before we wrap up episode 66?
I don't have anything other than I look forward to my favorite position and talking about that tomorrow.
Yeah, I told Bubba I'm going to get out of the way tomorrow. Because I enjoy listening to you as much as you enjoy talking about it. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, as the left field jungle says, as you see on the screen, Johnny Stats is the man. But
No doubt.
Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, comment, all those things on social media. There you see at Jungle Tales Pod, and then this and every episode throughout the season and year round, because we provide content when it's out of season as well, and catching up with former Pirate baseball players. And that is, of course, pjxgloves.com, the sponsor of Jungle Tales. Promo code Jungle Tales, and that is in all caps, 25% off the entire selection. And there you see the Miami Vice gloves, the Eye of the Tiger gloves, the GOAT and the Clown Face, and there are others. Just go to pgxgloves.com. Appreciate Mark Minikasi, former Pirate third baseman, and his support of the program. And he is still managing in independent baseball, and I will aim to have Kaz on here shortly. He's doing his best to try to get a Pirate or two on his team, but he's been managing for at least a few, if not several years now. But that will do it for us here. We'll be with you here in less than 12 hours. We'll take a look at the Pirate pitchers, 9 a.m. on Monday morning. We'll talk to you then. And as always, go Pirates.